From our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
The state government has announced the Tasman Bridge will be lit up in blue for 3 nights in support of Israel. The bridge was already slated to be lit in the colour for Down Syndrome Awareness. Infrastructure Minister Michael Ferguson thanked Down Syndrome Australia for allowing the government to make the change. A woman has died in a 2-vehicle crash, with police saying her car veered onto the wrong side of the Brooker Highway. 2 others, a mother and daughter in another car, taken to hospital suffering serious injuries.
A green Mazda hatchback crushed in a horror crash. Emergency services unable to revive the 51-year-old Kingston woman behind the wheel.
It's one more crash that police and emergency services have to attend and deal with the aftermath of, as well as the families and people involved.
The motorist had been driving south in the northbound lane of the Brooker Highway near the Cloverleaf intersection.
It's always unusual where you've got a vehicle which has travelled on a dual lane highway up the wrong side of the highway.
Her vehicle colliding head-on with a silver Volkswagen hatchback just before 9 p.m. Its occupants, a 45-year-old woman and her 21-year-old daughter, alive but rushed to the Royal Hobart Hospital in serious but stable conditions.
I'm aware that both sustained broken bones and other injuries.
The Brooker blocked off from Federal Street to Lower Domain Road for several hours as police cleared the scene.
The amount of debris would indicate that it's a relatively high-speed crash.
Police are still investigating how the Mazda came to be on the wrong side of the road and are now urging anyone who witnessed the crash or has dashcam footage to come forward. Tasmania's road toll rising to 25, significantly lower compared to 42 this time last year, but just as devastating. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Supreme Court has blocked the coroner from accessing confidential WorkSafe evidence as part of an inquiry into the Hillcrest disaster that killed 6 children 2 years ago. Judge Gregory Geeson says the disclosure could impede WorkSafe's ability to prosecute. Safety regulator Robin Pearce has welcomed the decision, saying her focus is to ensure a fair and just outcome for the victims' families. A decision on prosecutions will be made in the coming weeks. The Labor Party has confirmed it will move a no-confidence motion against Jeremy Rockliff when Parliament resumes next week. That's despite a pair agreement, which the opposition said on Sunday was a bid to end uncertainty and instability. The government has hit back, accusing Labor of pulling negative, time-wasting political stunts. Meanwhile, Labor's calling on the Premier to make it clear if the government's political donations reform legislation is still top of its mind.
So the government can say that the bills are in the Legislative Council, but they're not committed to progressing these reforms before the next election. I think many Tasmanians want greater transparency.
I'm satisfied that the Legislative Council have it on under consideration and in debate, and I hope that they'll progress that as soon as possible. Politicians
will head back to Parliament on October 17. A Launceston business owner says he doesn't believe his tattoo parlour was deliberately targeted in an early morning arson attack. Emergency services were called to the Charles Street blaze just before 5 o'clock after a quick-thinking neighbour raised the alarm and tried to help contain the fire. Police say a member of the public believes they saw a man wearing dark clothing flee the scene, running towards Princess Square. The Tattoo Society owners and staff returned to the store this morning to assess damage and work through the charcoal mess. The fire has been deemed deliberately lit and police are investigating. More than 70 repeat offenders have been charged with almost 350 offences in just 25 days as a result of Tasmania Police's task force Saturate. Their crimes ranging from robbery to drug and firearm offences, dangerous driving, family violence and bail breach. The task force will continue its crackdown on recidivism to enhance community safety. The search for fisherman Kerry Frankham, missing in waters off Beachford for a month, has been suspended. His empty boat was found adrift 12 kilometres offshore in September. Police believe the 75-year-old ended up in the water without a life jacket. The chances of his survival impossible. Clarence Council will let residents have their say on repurposing Rosny parklands for Tasmania's AFL and AFLW teams following a vote last night. It's hoped the process will provide councillors with a clearer picture on whether the community wants the multi-million-dollar project based in the area. Mayor Brendan Blomley says while he's open to the proposal, no decision to proceed will be made without community support. The consultation period closes on November 7. A Tasmanian wildlife sanctuary is begging drivers to slow down around native species, especially during peak hours. Our state continues to top the list when it comes to wildlife-related vehicle claims, posing a dangerous threat to humans and animals alike.
This Joey is one of many who've lost their mother due to a car crash. He's now 6 weeks strong after his chances of survival were drastically boosted when carer Ruth took him in.
People have forgotten about his real mum, which is real sad, but yeah, I'm doing my best.
Bonarong Wildlife Sanctuary is calling on drivers to slow down this Animal Accident Awareness Day. It's seen a huge strain on resources as a result of a growing number of road collisions.
40% of our calls are from vehicles, and so 15,000 calls last year. That is a lot of animals, and they're simply the ones that were found.
Our state is leading the charge with 500,000 animals killed on Tasmanian roads every year, prompting RACT to come on board. Its calculations indicate it will see 1,000 wildlife-related vehicle insurance claims before the year is out.
What we need to do is convince people they need to slow down between at dawn and dusk when there are more animals on the road, and as we know there are particular hotspots.
The pair hoping for a preventative approach which protects humans and secondary roadkill.
The last sort of 10 devils I've seen dead on the road have all been within 10 metres of another carcass. So they've learnt to follow the roads to find food, then they get run over themselves.
The advice for drivers who are involved in a collision is to stop and call Bonarong or another wildlife organisation. The sanctuary's rescue phone is open 24/7 as they're expecting 16,000 calls before the end of the year. A joint effort from all Tasmanians.
For Tassie tourism, a clean green image with carcasses littering the road, we've got to start walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
There's hours and hours of fun inside these boxes, destined for sick kids recovering at Launceston General Hospital. The Lego sets have been organised by Variety and charity Archie's 100 in memory of 5-year-old Archie Green, who died in a boating incident, handing over 360 kits to nurses this morning.
Kids love to have fun. It doesn't take too much to get kids to smile, but in particular in these facilities where sometimes it's a little bit stressful, just that tiny little thing can make them smile.
The kids will get to keep the sets when they're well enough to leave hospital. Tasmanians' lived experiences are being drawn upon as the state marks Mental Health Week. It's hoped their stories can help shape solutions, with organisations crying out for more support as services experience skyrocketing demand.
Speaking up to lend a helping hand to others.
I really wanted to make a difference, and I wanted to share the voice of others.
Ensuring that consumers' voices are heard and represented.
Brave Tasmanians sharing their lived experience, hoping to help lead the change, advocating for stronger access and delivery of mental health services.
Have your voice heard in the design of services that you're actually going to use.
Their expertise shaping Mental Health Week, this year focusing on awareness, connection and belonging.
This sort of stuff can happen to anybody. So the lack of judgment is really, really important, and just being who you are and accepting that sometimes you're at your best and sometimes you might not be at your best.
Listening, learning and shining a light as more services work to keep up with growing demand.
Definitely increasing, and that's partly because of a reduction in stigma over the years, and also what we've gone through in the past few years.
Organisations are calling out for more resources as new figures reveal 3,500 Tasmanians are not receiving community support for severe or complex mental illness.
We shouldn't really be in a situation in 2023 where so many people in Tasmania are missing out on support in the community.
Concerned a lack of access is adding extra strain on emergency departments already buckling under increased pressure.
We should start to invest now. We should be working at a local, regional level to understand what services are available, where the gaps are.
Working towards a brighter future.
There's work still to be done, but, there are some, it's not all negative.
Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
There is new support on its way for regional Tasmanians recovering from cancer. According to health experts, those in the bush have often been left behind without crucial post-treatment support.
For many, a cancer diagnosis can turn life upside down. And even after recovery, the battle might not be over.
More often than not, the patient and their carers are unsupported, some devastated, and all the psychological burden of what has happened turn up.
Treatments over weeks, months, even years, taking their toll.
You need in that setting somebody to support them, somebody to navigate where they should go, where they can get support.
A new Nation First program is aiming to bridge the service gap in rural and regional areas for those recovering from cancer.
Even in metropolitan Launceston we do well, but as soon as you get out and beyond, there are a lot of people that we miss.
Because you shouldn't get better health care just because you live in the city.
Almost $600,000 from the federal government will keep the project running for its first 3 years, supporting nurse consultants at the Holman Clinic to provide specialist clinical advice, as well as linking patients up with GPs, health resources and psychological care.
Ensuring that you have the best survival and the best ongoing care to make sure you stay healthy.
On average, 120 patients visit the Holman Clinic each day, with the program expected to help thousands of Tasmanians.
There's so much to do in health. So much more needs to be done.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
The Tassie Tigers are striving for redemption after losing to Melbourne in the Hockey One League's first round. The men's squad says a big focus will be connecting more on the midfield and feeding the ball to its forwards.
Overall, we weren't too disappointed with how we played. We thought there were patches where we played pretty well, but unfortunately they just got on top of us too much for too long in the game.
Meanwhile, the women's side has learned from its loss with plans to bolster its front half play and press structures.
The first minutes of the game really kind of showed the tempo we needed to step up to, and I think it was kind of an awakening as to what we're going to have to expect for the rest of this season.
Both teams will take on Canberra Chill this Sunday. A 4-wicket haul from Molly Strano set the Tigers women up for an easy victory in the WNCL. 13 boundaries and a 77-run knock from Lizelle Lee, then helping finish the job, despite a last-minute flurry of wickets handing ACT a desperately needed morale boost. Tasmania matching the host's 148-run target in just 24 overs to go 2 from 2 this season.
Good evening. Hobart, Devonport and Burnie 16 today. Launceston and Bushy Park our warmest with 19 degrees. Grove reached 18, Smithton and Friendly Beaches 17, St Helens 16, Lowhead, Strawn and the Bass Strait Islands all 15. Now today the Bureau advised that there were puffy cumulus clouds over the state today, around the coastline mainly, clear over the central and north. A broad low has clouds spiralling over inland New South Wales. Convective cloud developed over much of Queensland and the top end, a bit too drifting over southern WA. Tomorrow the cold front continues to cross the bight, the high to the east still managing to maintain a ridge over Tasmania. Northwesterly winds increasing to 20 to 30 knots before tending northeasterly later in the day, lighter winds over the inland lakes. Strong wind warning has been issued for waters between Tasman Island and Stanley. Warming up tomorrow though, 21 for Hobart and partly cloudy, the same temperature for Geeveston, 22 the high for Bothwell, a sunny afternoon. Partly cloudy for Launceston, 20 the maximum, 16 for Devonport, bit of cloud over Cressy and 19 degrees. Burnie expecting 17 and partly cloudy, Strawn 19, Curry mostly sunny and a high of 20 degrees. St Helens sunny as well, 21 the top, Swansea mostly sunny 21 and the trifecta of 21's Orford mostly sunny too. On Thursday showers extending throughout, contracting to to the west and south in the afternoon. 17 for show day in Launceston, 21 in Swansea. A cloudy day in the east on Friday with a shower or two elsewhere. Hobart 16. Not much improvement on Saturday with snow expected to 600 metres and cool west to southwest winds. Partly cloudy and 22 in Perth. Tomorrow warm and sunny in Adelaide, fine, and 26 on the way for Melbourne. 24 in Canberra and Sydney, and sunny and warm as you head further north. Mostly sunny in Hobart, currently 12 degrees. Mostly sunny in Launceston, 15. Same in Devonport, a top of 13 at the moment. Kim, might be sunny, but it's hard to keep the mood going, isn't it?
Sure is. Well, that is all your news for now. We'll be back later with updates. Thanks for your company tonight. Good night.